Mhm. So two questions. What type of numbers are we talking about? Let's say for the Shikoku Ken, which my understanding of is is pretty low. And what's your success rate like with these dogs as far as taking them and hunting them, and your litters? How many of them turn out and make hunting dogs?
Right. Okay. So if we're talking population numbers, the out of the six Nihon Ken breeds, the Shiba Inu is doing quite well, which is the small type breed, and we've got like anywhere between 30 to 50,000 of those registered every year in Japan. It's a very popular breed in Japan and overseas. Then once we move to the next most populous breed, we've got the Akita, which I don't remember what the numbers were for the past couple of years, but we have about 2,000 puppies probably born every year. But that's a big jump from 30,000 or 50,000 to 2,000.
Hmm.
Then once we drop down to the medium-sized breeds, we've got like the Kaiken, which we have about 800 to 900 puppies born every year.
Hmm.
And then we start moving down to the other three medium-sized breeds. And we've got the Kishu, like I said, about 10 years ago, they still used to have like 600 puppies born a year. Now we're under 300. We're about 240 or somewhere thereabouts. And the Shikoku, and the reason why I got involved with the Shikoku was because they were in the most trouble at the time, which is about 10 years ago when I started with the Shikoku. And we were hitting like about 300 some dogs, and they were very close to just dropping off. Once you lose too much of a population, there isn't too much coming back from that, I think. But now we've managed to stabilize it to where we're somewhere between 200 to 300 Shikoku puppies every year. But we've also lost a large number of the Hokkaido, which are the dogs from the northern island there. They used to have, seven, eight, 900 puppies born every year. And now we're down to about, I think the main preservation society for the Hokkaido was about 200 puppies last year. So they're really dropping in numbers. And yeah, I don't see how we're really going to bring those numbers up too much here in Japan right now, but that's what we're looking at. And then as far as how many of those, say, 200 some Shikoku puppies every year are being bred by hunters here in Japan, I can probably count on, mm, yeah, there's probably about, I would say, 10, 20, maybe 30
Hmm.
hunters nationally. Let's say less than 50 hunters nationally that hunt with purebred Shikoku.
Hmm.
And so we don't have a lot of litters that are actually being produced by hunters. There's one big line that's being bred down in on Shikoku Island in the Kochi area by a Nippo judge. His name is Mr. Mitani. And his line is kind of dual purpose. They're show dogs, but he also is a hunter, so he's always hunted with them. So they have quite a bit of hunt left in them.
Hmm.
So I definitely see this variance. Going to your question about what percentage of the puppies of Shikoku puppies, for instance, are going to hunt. And where if we're looking at a litter that's coming out of, say, Mr. Mitani's lines or something like that, we could be looking at anywhere upwards of 50% of the puppies are pretty good, solid,
Hmm.
boar dogs or whatnot. Um, and then I'll see other lines from other different regions of Japan or different breeder groups that'll come in that have just basically been selected for show, and the pickings can be pretty slim there. You'll see, say there's a litter of six puppies or something there. They might have like two puppies in it that will hunt or something. We're dropping lower than 50%, which is not a good
Hmm.
number for any kind of a working hunter. So that's kind of what we're dealing with in the breed as a whole. And so you either need to be selecting from, and obviously as a hunter, most hunters will probably know this is if you want a working dog, you get a dog out of working lines from someone that's actually hunting them and hunting them in the way that you want to hunt. And the same is true for the Japanese breeds. So while we'll still see outliers pop up here and there, it's not like the whole population has lost everything. It's just our percentages have been dropping, I believe,
Hmm.
and especially in the Shikoku. Whereas the Kishu is still a much better boar dog. Like even from showline Kishu, you can still get a fair good number of them will still hunt boar. It's quite
Are,
impressive, actually. Yeah.
are there people in Hokkaido hunting those dogs on bears still, or is that sort of disappeared?
Yeah. So that is mostly stopped. There is one kennel that is it's called Tokachi Moritaso, and that is, I think, the remaining working Hokkaido kennel in Japan. One kennel
Hmm.
that actually specializes in working dogs and bear hunting dogs. And it's he's an older gentleman now as well, so we don't know how long that's going to go. But most of the working Hokkaido in Japan are from his kennel.
Well, okay. The numbers are much smaller than I thought. And I think for the listeners, Japan there's a lot of people, something like 120, 130 million people in Japan. So that's really it's really small.